Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 17 and compare it against the Google Pixel 9a and see which particular phone is the better one for you. Now, the thing I can definitely tell you between both these devices is that they're both very good options, right? The Pixel 9a is a very good device, and I am a big fan of the iPhone 17 as well, but let's go ahead and see which one is a better one for you. Now, first things first, if you do want to go through and pick up either one of these particular devices, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there, and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these particular phones. The Google Pixel 9a originally came out earlier this year, so around March of 2025, and this phone on the front side is giving you a 6.3-inch OLED display. So this panel itself is not terrible, it's actually a pretty decent panel. It's giving you up to 2700 nits of peak brightness, 120 Hz display. It's a pretty good looking, phone. Now, I will say when you're looking at this device, the only thing that kind of throws me off a little bit is that it does have a little bit more bezel than some other devices in the market, including the 17. So if you are going through and buying something like a Pixel 9a, you might end up seeing for the most part that type of phone and that type of panel, the panel itself is really nice. However, the bezel around it can be one of those things that might throw you off. But I don't really think it's like the biggest deal in the world, but it could just be one of those other minor things that you might run into there when you are going through and buying a device like this. So kind of keep that in mind. Again, I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world, but if you are about to go through and pick up a phone, that is probably going to be one of those things that the Pixel 9a you're going to realize. Whereas on something like an iPhone 17, this phone is going to be giving you a, basically 6.3-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So that type of panel, it is going to be a little bit nicer for some people. So for starters, it's basically the same size. However, it is a L2PO display, which is really, really nice. But on top of that, it is going to be giving you 3000 nits of peak brightness. So slightly brighter than something like the Pixel 9a, but the biggest difference here is that there's significantly less bezel on that type of phone. The 17 has about a 90.1% screen to body ratio, where the Pixel 9a has about an 83.5%. So basically the higher the number, the less bezel there is. That's kind of what's going on within this type of device. So once again, kind of keep that in mind. Is it the biggest deal in the world? Maybe not, but you are going to be getting a significantly better type of device, at least from a screen standpoint, on something like the iPhone 17 than the Pixel 9a. Now, on top of that, another big thing to keep in mind here too is that they're both giving you USB Type-C ports on the bottom. They're both a little bit different in the build quality, especially on the backside. The Pixel 9a is going to be giving you this plastic back, where the iPhone 17 is going to be a frosted glass back. So that right there is going to be another key difference, right? Do you want to go through, spend the money on a plastic back of a phone, which is kind of weird to have in this day and age? Or would you rather have like a frosted glass back that you can get instead of something like the iPhone 17? So that one kind of makes more sense to me, like the frosted glass back portion. However, if you're still looking at these types of phones, you might be able to see for the most part that with something like the Pixel 9a, if you put a case on it, and maybe it's not that big of a deal, but if you're trying to get the better type of device, then clearly something like the iPhone 17 is going to be that one for you. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. In terms of price tag, the Pixel 9a right now on Amazon is about $385. With the iPhone 17, it just came out, so it's still going to be $800 for quite some time. So that price isn't really going to go down anytime soon. However, with something like the Pixel 9a, that one is probably going to be a good one for quite a bit of time in terms of price. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. In terms of cameras, so these phones are slightly different when it kind of comes down to it. So the Pixel 9a is going to be giving you this dual camera setup, 48 megapixel wide, 13 megapixel ultra wide camera, where the iPhone 17 is going to be this 48 megapixel dual camera setup. They're both giving you 4K at 60 on the back. However, the front, the Pixel 9a is giving you 4K at 30, with the iPhone 17, it's giving you 4K at 60. So that right there is also another very big difference here. Because if you're trying to get the phone that is going to be giving you a better type of experience, something like the Google Pixel 9a, from what I can tell you, I mean, that type of device is going to be good, it's going to be great, but if you're trying to get the better type of camera here, the iPhone 17 is going to be the one that's going to be way better for you. That camera is going to be giving you higher resolution. You can film it on the front side with the frames per second. However, the big thing here is that with something like the iPhone 17, that type of device is giving you center stage capability with dual capture mode. So that right there is going to be another one of those really big key takeaway areas. Because if you're trying to get the device that is going to be giving you a better experience, something like the Google Pixel 9a, it's going to be a good phone. I'm still going to be a fan of it, but I feel like the iPhone 17 is going to be the one that's going to be giving you a better experience from that particular standpoint. So kind of keep that in mind, but from a camera perspective, that kind of covers it up there. Now, in terms of which phone is going to last longer in terms of software, that one is going to be a little bit more tough. I'm not really 100% too sure which one is going to be the better one in this standpoint. I would say they're both going to be still lasting with software for quite some time, and neither one of them are really going to be outdated anytime soon. So I feel like that right there is, again, another big thing, because if you're going to go through and pick up something like a Pixel 9a, both these phones are still going to be able to be supported with software for several years from now. If you're trying to get the phone that's going to have a slight advantage, it could end up being something like an iPhone 17. But like I said, even at that point, it's really not going to be like that crazy big of a deal. If you're going to go through and pick up a phone, you're still going to be able to get a really decent type of device, really decent type of experience when it kind of comes down to that standpoint. So kind of keep that in mind. Again, maybe not the biggest deal in the world, but it is just going to be one of those key takeaway areas when it kind of comes down to it. So when it comes down to their battery life, I would say that the Pixel 9a might give you slightly better battery life, 5100 mAh battery inside of that phone. So that could be a slight advantage. Again, it may not be like a super crazy big deal, but it is just going to be another one of those key takeaway areas once again. Now, finally, when it kind of comes down to their performance, the Pixel 9a is going to be giving you that, Google Tensor G4 chipset inside with 8GB of RAM, where the iPhone 17 is giving you the Apple A19 chipset inside with 8GB of RAM as well. Now, the performance of these types of chipsets and these types of devices are going to be slightly more similar than you'd probably think about. I probably would say that with something like the Google Pixel 9a, this type of phone and this type of performance, it's going to be great for a lot of people. You're going to be able to go through and buy a phone that's going to be giving you a really good type of experience. And I feel like that right there is going to be a really nice thing. So I like being able to go through and pick up devices that are going to be giving me that type of experience. With something like the iPhone 17, this type of device is also going to be very decent right now. Like that type of device does a really good job at giving you like a good type of experience. And I feel like if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, that right there is also going to be another really cool thing. Both phones are going to be very fast. Both phones are going to be giving you a really good type of experience. But like I said, if you're trying to go through and pick up the better one here, I probably would say something like, I probably would say the iPhone, 17 would be the better performing one for me personally. So to kind of sum it up, what I definitely will tell you is that these types of devices, for the most part, they're both very good types of phones. I like these phones a lot. I feel like they give you a really good type of experience. I probably will tell you, if you're looking at both these phones, something like the iPhone, 17 is probably the one that, I would recommend more people to buy. It's more of a flagship. It feels better than something like than a Pixel 9a. And I feel like that would be the one I'd recommend for more people to buy. With that being said, I feel like with something like an iPhone, with something like a Pixel 9a, I feel like that type of device is also very good. It's a beautiful type of phone. And I feel like that would be one of those types of phones I'd probably recommend, people to buy too at a cheaper price. Because it's significantly more expensive, I feel like I like that phone slightly more in some ways from a price tag standpoint. But I will say, for the most part, if you're going to go through and pick up a device, it probably makes more sense to go through and buy something like an iPhone 17 if money's not an issue. But if it is an issue, then it makes more sense to buy something like probably like something like a Pixel 9a. So in terms of that, and that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.